Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and I'm so glad that you've joined us because we have two jam-packed hours of entertainment. In the 7 o'clock hour, we are going to be talking news and entertainment, I should say. In the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with representatives from Notre Dame High School. They have, coming up on Saturday, really an amazing festival. And it's celebrating their 70 years. Yes, celebrating 70 years. Notre Dame High School, established back in 1955. From noon till 6, you see all the information there. We're going to learn a lot about it on today's broadcast in the 7 o'clock hour. We have so much news that we had an interview scheduled that we are going to end up broadcasting tomorrow, and that is with Callie Tucker of really country royalty, Tanya Tucker's niece. She has a new video out. We're going to hear from her on tomorrow's broadcast. So that's just a little bit of our schedule looking ahead. We're going to kick off today's program with viewer comments. We also have a lot of updates, and I have a couple special announcements that I'll be making later on in the program. We're already kicking off the program with a great start. 3-4 waves already. Here we go. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. Trump asked the Supreme Court to overturn the ruling on tariffs. I saw that. That's going to be something that needs to be done sooner than later. The Supreme Court needs to look at it because we're looking at quite a, what would you call it, a fine? A cost at the very least if we pay that back. It's going to be very interesting. And Trump meets with the president of Poland. Yes, there are some other breaking news stories as well we're going to get to, but thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Scott writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Scott. Can you explain something to me? I'll try. I voted for a president, not a judge. Thank you. That was a theme yesterday, and unfortunately, it's not going to be the full show this morning, but we have a couple other examples of that this morning where these activist kind of rogue judges decided that they're more powerful than the president of the United States and that they can be a hindrance in the agenda that the American people overwhelmingly voted for. And it's almost expected now when you go to your news sources, whatever one you depend on. We go to quite a few here on the program for our show prep. You just expect another judge this, another judge that. But I'll continue with what Scott had to say. Did I say Steve originally? I hope I said Scott. I apologize. Good morning, Frank. Scott here. I think I said Scott. Hochul will probably send in the National Guard to stop President Trump from going into Yankee Stadium. She's the commander-in-chief, not Trump. Just ask her. Yes, she said that yesterday. She's the commander-in-chief, so it was okay of the National Guard. So it was okay when she used the National Guard to patrol the subways right after COVID and to crack down on crime. That's okay. Trump stepping in, not okay. Also, really weird that it didn't come up that she also used the National Guard as corrections officers. That did not come up in her comments. So thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. By the way, I don't like to dash your hopes at the beginning of a program. I don't. Maybe you're just waking up from a nice dream about spending your $1 billion. Well, you're going to have to wait till Saturday. There is again no winner of the $1.4 billion Powerball. No one won last night. This is inching ever closer to the record set back in 2022. Now, if you're curious, the winning numbers were 3, 16, 29, 61, 69, and 22 as the Powerball. It is now estimated that the jackpot on Saturday will be around $1.7 billion. $1.7 billion. Now, even though, I'm not completely dashing your hopes, even though the grand prize was unclaimed, 4 match 5 plus power play ticket holders won $2 million prizes, and 11 people pocketed $1 million. It does not say which state, so you should still, of course, check your tickets. And again, the next Powerball drawing will take place on Saturday. No one has won Powerball since May the 31st, all essentially summer long. No Powerball winner, so you'll have to spend a little more money. And again, I didn't mean to dash your hopes, but no billionaires watching, frankly speaking, this morning. But hopefully on Monday you can write in and say that you're a billionaire, and that'll be our first billionaire wave, as we've had international waves from throughout the week. Hey, since Scott brought it up, actually both brought it up. First, Trump administration is demanding the Supreme Court rule quickly on the tariffs case after appeals court loss. This is it's jeopardizing negotiations. You're also looking at a potential cost. The government called on the court to reverse an appeals court ruling that most of President Donald Trump's tariffs were illegal under an emergency powers law. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit left the tariffs in place for now, but the administration nevertheless called on the High Court to intervene quickly in a petition filed late Wednesday and provided to the Associated Press. It was expected to be formally docketed today. The 7-4 ruling by the appeals court came after states and small businesses sued, saying the tariffs were causing serious economic hardships. The court largely upheld a lower court ruling striking down the tariffs. The decision, this is what the Trump administration argued, the decision casts a pall of uncertainty upon ongoing foreign negotiations that the president has been pursuing through tariffs over the past 5 months, jeopardizing both already negotiated framework deals and ongoing negotiations. The stakes in this case could not be higher. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. There is some type of payback that would happen if these are deemed illegal. Now, revenue from tariffs already have totaled $159 billion by late August, more than double what it was at the same point the year before. So no real time frame on this. Whether or not the Supreme Court takes this up is yet to be seen. Also, talking about activist judges like Scott did, the judge says the Trump administration unlawfully blocked $2 billion from Harvard. So we've learned that essentially donations by the taxpayer to these universities with just amazing, almost stunning endowments, that the money that taxpayers were giving them is a constitutional right, essentially. A federal judge on Wednesday gave Harvard University a landmark victory in its fight against the Trump administration, siding with the Ivy League school in its effort to restore more than $2 billion in federal funding for research frozen by the White House. The decision from U.S. District Judge Allison Burroughs rejects the administration's argument that it was targeting the university due to anti-Semitism on school campuses. Now, you know, on this program, we focused a lot on the anti-Semitism on college campuses. You know that it has run amok, that administrators, faculty, not only very much supported these protests, and in Harvard's case, the president saying, we stand with the anti-Semitic protesters so much, I am willing to take a pay cut. Now, what's interesting is the judge claims it has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. The faculty, the staff, of course, at the time, apparently having no problem with the harassment of their Jewish community on campus. But I also got to show this as just a little inside look to the media that we're dealing with. Why is that? They don't mention it till much later on, even after talking about U.S. District Judge Allison Burroughs, that she is an appointee of former President Barack Obama. You guessed it. This is what the appointee of former President Barack Obama, Judge Allison Burroughs, said. A review of the administrative record makes it difficult to conclude anything other than the defendants used anti-Semitism as a smokescreen for a targeted, ideologically motivated assault on this country's premier universities. Does this sound like someone that isn't an activist? Tell me that statement. I'm going to read the whole statement here. But this doesn't sound like a judge making a fair and partial decision. This sounds like a judge that is writing for a op-ed for Mother Jones or an op-ed for CNN or you name it, Axios. A review of the administration record makes it difficult to conclude anything other than the defendants used anti-Semitism as a smokescreen for a targeted, ideologically motivated assault on this country's premier universities. Their actions have jeopardized decades of research and the welfare of all those who could stand to benefit from that research, as well as reflect a disregard for the rights protected by the Constitution and federal statutes. So, taxpayer funding, you and I paying $2 billion to Harvard, even though their endowment is in the hundreds of billions. Us paying that $2 billion is now a constitutional right. And that, never mind the Jewish students who have had to put up with this harassment, this intimidation, never mind that, that's all a smokescreen to Judge Burroughs. And that Trump did this for ideological reasons. Now, the decision is a major victory for Harvard, of course, CNN writes, the only university targeted by the Trump administration to take on the White House directly in court. The administration has argued it is cracking down on anti-Semitism on campus, but Harvard has become the epicenter of a broader fight over academic freedom, federal spending, and campus oversight. So again, if they want to stand, and the president of Harvard made it clear, he took a pay cut. They want to stand with the anti-Semitic protesters. That's fine, but that doesn't mean there aren't consequences when it comes to you and I paying for that. But this judge is saying they have a constitutional right to your money, the money that you've earned. Harvard has that right. Now, the Trump administration is almost, how do you like this, certain to escalate its fight against the elite academic institution, prompting longer-term questions about the school's financial future. Already, the White House said it plans to appeal. Their financial future, look at their endowment. Look at, well, why are they dependent? Just like an NPR or a PBS, when they were pushing propaganda, they didn't deserve taxpayer dollars. If the universities aren't going to crack down on anti-Semitism and the harassment of their students, then there should be some repercussions. And of course, there will be an appeal. White House spokesperson Liz Houston said this activist Obama-appointed judge was always going to rule in Harvard's favor, regardless of the facts. We know that. There is no way we would have read that she would decide otherwise. You can see it dripping from her statement, the activism. But I'll continue. To any fair-minded observer, it is clear that Harvard University failed to protect their students from harassment and allowed discrimination to plague their campus for years. In a statement to the Harvard community on Wednesday evening, Harvard President Alan Garber, who took a pay cut to stand with these anti-Semitic protesters, said the ruling validates our arguments in defense of the university's academic freedom, so it's academic freedom, to allow your Jewish students to be harassed, critical scientific research, and the core principles of American higher education. Even as we acknowledge the important principles affirmed in today's ruling, we will continue to assess the implications of the opinion, monitor further legal developments, and be mindful of the changing landscape in which we seek to fulfill our mission. Now, Burroughs pointed to some of the research projects impacted by the administration's cuts. And the judge said, quote, there's no obvious link between the affected projects and anti-Semitism. So you can even see here a disdain for the idea that people want anti-Semitism off our college campuses. You can even see calling it a smoke screen, saying there's no obvious link. Even a disdain for cracking down on anti-Semitism, if you read between the lines. When the funding was frozen, Burroughs added, there was no investigation into whether any particular research labs, she said, were engaging in anti-Semitic behavior, were employing Jews, were run by Jewish scientists, or were investigating issues or diseases particularly pertinent to Jews, meaning the funding freezes could and likely will harm the very people defendants professed to be protecting. She also took aim at numerous Trump social media posts. His concerns about Harvard, she said, were untethered from anti-Semitism. So we're dealing, and we'll continue to deal with, look at all these comments and waves. We'll continue to deal with apparently anti-Semitism on college campuses if there is no repercussion, but with activist judges, we know that you can hear the activism in her voice. So we'll continue to have those stories, unfortunately, on this program. All right, we got some comments coming in. We got a lot of waves coming in. One of the things I want to discuss, and we'll probably talk about this in the next segment, is this new trend. It's not even that new, unfortunately. When you had these kind of death threats or vague death threats made against Republicans or Trump, and then you had Tim Walz and others kind of celebrating this idea that Trump, well, the internet and media were pushing this idea that he's been out of the limelight for 3 days. That must mean he has passed from Earth. Yes, that was a major story over the weekend. We talked about it on this program all week, but we're going to tie these all in together because it shows a really nasty trend. But we're going to read your comments. Keep those waves coming in. We're just getting started. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. A lot of comments coming in. Let's get right to them. Regarding tariffs, I also think that in addition to paying back the money, that businesses who have agreed to set up shop in the U.S. will back out of the deal. That's a very good point. The damage that's done, again, I don't want to make this a theme of this morning's broadcast, but activist judges and a lot of people had comments on this. Let Harvard use its $50 billion endowment to fund its research. Thank you. I looked that up. You're right. I was thinking it was even more than that. It was like 53.9. Yes, let them use that to fund its research. In addition, Harvard is violating the civil rights of Jewish students, which to my knowledge, my knowledge is illegal. It is, and that is the argument that the Trump administration is making, but the judge was twisting it in a way to make it as if there wasn't the connection, that was a smokescreen, which I think is a very disrespectful comment to make, especially if you were to talk to the Jewish students that were harassed on campus, that were intimidated, sometimes violent acts perpetrated against them. I would agree. So smokescreen seems like a very almost disrespectful term to use, or just a kind of a brush off. This viewer continues, just imagine if the Jews were replaced with any minority. Many people have made that point. I think there was a piece not that long ago by Miranda Devine, well, it was a little while ago, making that same argument. It's as if there's no way the president would take a pay cut to support any other protest against any other minority community. You're exactly right. And it is wrong at face value. And the fact that faculty and staff have encouraged this in so many instances, like at Columbia and Harvard and elsewhere, it goes to show you the problem that we have with higher education and academia. How much would change then? Yes, if it was any other group. You're exactly right. Couldn't be more spot on. Mark writes, let me know if I'm wrong, but students pay to go to Harvard, so why do they need our money just to lace their pockets? Well, that's really what it is. Their argument, I think, even with their endowment and the students paying, their argument is it's not apparently enough for this research that they're doing, this apparent vital research, this constitutional right to research, according to this judge. You're right. They are not. It's just like the argument they always used to make with NPR and PBS. Oh, Big Bird's going to go away, and Mr. Rogers. That's not the case. They've got the money. They just want more. They want more from taxpayers. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, hey, thank you everybody for the nice good mornings. It's good morning to you. It sounds like Obama is still pulling the puppet strings of these corrupt leftist judges. It does seem to be. I wish we would have thought to do this in the beginning, but to make note of the majority. I think with the last 2 weeks shows, I would say it seems like former Obama appointees, but I know there were a few Biden sprinkled in there as well. Also, I wanted to mention, we have so much to cover, and I'm already going on tangents, and this is going to be a nightmare. I do want to talk about this real scary push to violence by many on the left. Or this celebration of what they thought over the weekend was the potential for President Trump to have passed. It's sick. It shows a hypocrisy from a party that claims tolerance and love. How many times did we hear that in the first Trump administration? about love. And anyway, I wanted to mention this quickly before we take a break. Over 1,000 current and former employees with the Department of Health and Human Services have signed an open letter demanding that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. resign as health secretary. The letter from the group Save HHS accused Kennedy of endangering Americans' health and aiding in the violation of the U.S. Constitution. The letter was sent to the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, as well as the Senate Committee on Finance and House Committee on Energy and Commerce. Quote, "We swore an oath to support and defend the United States Constitution and to serve the American people. Our oath requires us to speak out when the Constitution is violated and the American people are put at risk. Thus, we warn the President, Congress, and the public that Secretary Kennedy's actions are compromising the health of this nation, and we demand Secretary Kennedy's resignation." Kind of interesting. You could say, is this the deep state or the swamp or the bureaucracy at work? But I know we have some Kennedy fans out there, so I wanted to mention it to you. All right, we're not going to talk about this yet, but we've got a lot of New York State updates that we've got to get to at some point in this program. But I want you to start thinking about this. So Jerry Nadler is retiring. Well, he's not running for re-election. He says he wants to kind of pass the torch to a new generation of Democrats, and we know a younger generation. We know that there's been a lot of criticism of the age of many elected leaders, specifically in the Democrat Party, and also this criticism that they're not strong enough in the resistance, meaning they're not far enough left, that they really need to be more like an AOC or Mamdani, a socialist. Okay, we know all that. So I've got a couple pieces on that later on that maybe we'll get to. But the reason I bring up Jerry Nadler and his not running for re-election, a lot of names are jumping into the fray to run for Congress at his seat. Have you heard one of the names? You may have heard that JFK's, I think it's grandson, who's kind of, well, he's done some really strange things on social media and attacking Robert F. Kennedy, and that's a weird one. That seems like a fringe candidate to me. But I need to hear your thoughts on this. The potential to take over Jerry Nadler's seat. None other than one Chelsea Clinton, keeping the Clinton machine alive and well. Yes, it seems somewhat serious that Chelsea Clinton is eyeing that seat. Your thoughts on that? How do you like that before we go to a break? Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Coming up a little bit later on in the program, not only will we be talking to Notre Dame High School about their amazing festival coming up on Saturday, but also we got a really exciting news, because I know people ask me a lot about what we're doing to honor and pay tribute to the late, great Dwayne Eddy, the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer that was born in Corning, because people know that there's kind of a project under works. We finally have an amazing update for you. It's not too late. You know, we've been talking about a little bit on the program. You can find out more at corningtwang.com. That's Twang, so corningtwang.com. And you can still donate to be a part of it, be a part of this kind of legacy, to just encourage the people of our area, especially younger people, to realize that we have one of the all-time greats, a guitar legend, a pioneer in rock and roll music, Dwayne Eddy, who was born walking distance from my studio right here. So we're going to have a big update for you on that, because I want you to know before others know. So find out more at Corning Twang. Okay, corningtwang.com. Let's go to viewer comments. This one, I will admit, I think this person needs their first cup of coffee in the morning, but it did make me laugh pretty hard. Talking about NPR or PBS, how they always threaten the cuts to Big Bird. This viewer says, I always disliked, in fact, despised Big Stupid Bird. Good riddance. Oh, man. The passion in that comment. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Why do we have a president? Seems we only need judges. Since when do we allow them to override the commander-in-chief? More lunacy. I couldn't agree with you more. That is what the common trend is, that it seems as if we didn't even need to go out and vote. Now, I never like to discourage anybody to vote. You know that has been kind of a hallmark on this program, which is to encourage people to vote, especially to pay attention at the local level and all that. So I say this, not even really tongue-in-cheek, but I want you to always get out and vote. But at the end of the day, what we're learning is really, apparently the judges have all the power. Never mind what the American people overwhelmingly voted for, the America First agenda. Never mind that. It's judges appointed by Obama or by Biden. They have the real say. Because once they realize that Trump was ahead of them on the bureaucrats and draining the swamp, and he was ready this time, now they realize, oh, we can't kind of gum up the works in that way completely. We need this to be a 2-3-pronged approach. So now we go to the judges and the activist judges, and clearly it's very easy. I would recommend, I didn't read the whole statement from the judge, but just what I read you at the beginning of the program, you saw what to me looked more like an activist op-ed about how to stop Trump's defunding, not defunding of Harvard, but taking back that $2 billion from Harvard. It sounded more like an op-ed you would read in a kind of far left publication, not a decision by an impartial judge. Okay, comment from other viewers. We got a lot coming in. Good morning, Frank. Good morning. Chelsea Clinton would be a great addition, ... to the axis of awful, which is what the Democrat Party has become. Yes, if you are just tuning in or you missed it right before commercial break, it is announced that there is a possibility that Chelsea Clinton may run for Jerry Nadler's seat. We'll talk about it a little bit more in depth later on in the broadcast. Mark Wright said, no more Clintons for me. First Monica and Bill, then Crooked Hillary, now Cheating Chelsea. Is that the nickname? Thank you, Mark. And then finally, in this segment, good morning. Well, good morning. Regarding Chelsea Clinton, Frank, it's not even Halloween yet, and you're scaring me. There's always been speculation that she's going to run. Whenever there's a congressional seat somewhere, or like her mother, obviously moving here to become senator, there's always been speculation that she was going to get involved, but it'd been long enough without any real talk of it. It was kind of in the back of my mind. I kind of forgot about it. And then I saw, I think it was on Empire Report yesterday, and they didn't even make a big headline out of it. It was just, these are the people thinking of running for Jerry Nadler's seat. And when I saw her name in there, it took me back. Now there's been more discussion on it. We'll tell you about that. All right. So yesterday, JD and Usha Vance paid the respect to victims of Minneapolis and the Catholic school shooting, saying, I have never had a day that will stay with me like this day did, said JD Vance. These parents, in the midst of the worst grief of their entire lives, they opened up their lives and they opened up their hearts and they made me part of it. The Vances met with the parents of Fletcher Merkel, 8, and Harper Moisky, both 10, who were both killed when the 23-year-old gunman barricaded a door to the church and opened fire through a stained glass window. Now, we don't need to go through all the details. We've talked about this extensively. The vice president and the second lady brought 2 bouquets of flowers tied with blue ribbon to leave at the entrance to the church where the massacre took place. J.D. Vance, I think, was just wonderful in his statements lately regarding this, whether it's the left's attack on thoughts and prayers or just the touching tributes that he's paid. I think it was very appropriate that he attend. The vice president said every single family he met with asked for prayer. So my fellow Americans, if you're the praying type, say a prayer for this innocent girl who's actually in surgery right now, that the swelling will go down, that she will be okay because she's still in the fight for her life. And every single family, to a person, is desperate that the death toll, which currently is at 2, stays at 2. Heartbroken parents also expressed that they wish the innocent children killed last week, little Fletcher and Harper, were discussed more than the brutal maniac who shot up this school, Vance said, and that's a wonderful point. Now, I bring this up, unfortunately, to show you kind of this hatred for this administration. What I mean by that, as J.D. Vance and Usha Vance went to the Minneapolis church shooting site, protesters heckled the Vances. As he was paying his respect to the victims of last week's deadly mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis, protesters standing by a Progress Pride flag heckled from across the street. Commenting on the protesters, many called it tone deaf, of course. This one poster, a conservative columnist, Dustin Grage, said leftist protesters proceed to shout, "You're a coward and do better," while flying a rainbow flag. Talk about tone deaf. So this ties in to a bigger picture, because if you wake up in the morning and say, paying your respects and your tribute to those that were lost and injured in that shooting, I want to protest that. You're the same person that would get very angry, I'm sure, over the thoughts and prayers, someone saying thoughts and prayers. And that ties in with even more of this hatred. We talked about it with Tim Walz joking, as he was the vice presidential candidate, joking about the passing of President Trump, which was in the rumor mill over the weekend because, wow, he actually had 3 days where he didn't talk to the press. As his statement was, it was 3 months with Biden, and there was no comments. So I brought you those quotes, and he was kind of saying, oh, this weekend there was news. I wish someday there's going to be news. Almost a weird, veiled threat, if you really wanted to read that way. Quote, just saying there will be news sometime. Just so you know, there will be news. Almost gleeful. But don't worry, someday Trump will pass from this mortal coil. GOP House Majority Whip Tom Emmer said Tim Walz mocking President Trump's health is a new low even for you. Wishing ill on others doesn't make you a leader. It makes you small. Minnesotans deserve better. Journalist and author Selena Zito said Tim Walz's monologue, where he pines something is currently wrong with the president's health, then chirps if there isn't, it's only a matter of a short amount of time before something dire will happen to him, isn't just vile. It shows once again Democrats have learned little since Butler. No, they haven't. As a matter of fact, I have in a moment when we come back from break, Joy Reid still pushing the conspiracy theory about a, quote, alleged assassination attempt at Butler. GOP Representative Pete Stauber in Minnesota's 8th Congressional District said Tim Walz toning the rhetoric down, huh? Is there more fraud in Tim's word or his state government? So I tie this in because of the anger, the tone deafness, the callousness of attacking thoughts and prayers, or protesting J.D. Vance and Usha Vance as they're going to that church, or you have Tim Walz kind of celebrating in this rumor over the weekend that the president passed. There's more on this because you need to see what we're dealing with as a nation, and what the Democrat Party is dealing with, but you can't have a kind of a hatred for somebody for a decade now and not have it corrupt you, unfortunately, and I think that's what we're seeing. So we have 2 or 3 more examples of this, and then we are going to move on, but I think it's something important that we can't take lightly. So let me take a break, read more of your comments. I know that Chelsea Clinton got people worked up this morning. In full disclosure, I had an idea. I had a feeling that would happen. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Looking at all these comments coming in. Let's get right to them. How can a judge that clearly is not capable of reading the Constitution keep their seat? That's a great question once they're appointed, right? Another comment from a different viewer. Say it isn't so. We don't need another Clinton. Not now, not ever. That's the talk. That is the talk. That Chelsea Clinton may be running for Jerry Nadler's seat. Jack writes in regards to the judges, I don't understand why the Republicans don't throw it back at them and use judges they've appointed to counteract the judges that go against the president. Let's see how they like it. I'm thinking we would see less misuses of the judicial system. Well, I think the problem is they shop around for the judges. And they find it, as it moves up the chain, they find the judge that will be the best. I'm not a lawyer, but that will be the best for their case. So it's kind of difficult, I think, to counteract. But a fair point. Comment from a different viewer. It's great that Tim Walz is over the grief of the Catholic school tragedy and is back to life as usual as a Trump hater. And you're spot on with that. Someone else had said something similar. I'm not sure who this is. It was somewhere and it got cut off, but it was on Twitter. It was some type of conservative Twitter account saying Tim Walz tells supporters to remain hopeful that Trump will die soon. School children were just shot in church last week in Tim's state. And this is what he's thinking about. I can't even put into words how disgusting and deranged this is. And we tie that in. And by the way, I got a major announcement coming up in after this break to almost end hour number one. But I want to keep, because it's such a serious topic, then we're going to go into a couple exciting announcements. Ex-MSNBC host Joy Reid said Tuesday that the public knows nothing about President Trump's injuries after what she called the alleged assassination attempt against him during that rally in Butler. You tie all these things together, and there's a common thread here, isn't there? I guess you would call it hate, some instances evil. As an example, she argued that the media can't even ask questions about the first assassination attempt against Trump during his time as a candidate. He's got these magical doctors who claim that he was shot in the ear, but his ear, I guess, grew back. He had a bandage on 1 minute, no bandage the next. We can't get a medical record from this alleged assassination. He was supposedly shot. We have nothing. We can't even ask. That's when her guest interjected, where are the investigative records? One day, he had it covered. The next day, the ear is totally fine. Reid said, it's fine. I remember being in mainstream media where we both used to work saying, isn't it odd that we've never asked for his medical records? And I got in trouble for that. So you're not allowed to even say, isn't that weird? Reid suggested that she knew more about the past political assassination attempts against former President Gerald Ford and William McKinley than she does about the more recent attempt against Trump. We're getting nothing, and the mainstream media isn't demanding his medical records. They're not demanding anything. They're terrified of this man. So an alleged now assassination attempt. One after another, folks. I wish this wasn't the case. Colby Hall writes, Trump Death Watch reveals ugly truth about aging presidents and partisan hacks. Over the holiday, online conspiracies claimed President Donald Trump was gravely ill or even dead. It was nonsense. The sort of fact-free whisper campaign that grows on social media. Trump himself denied the rumors, insisting he hadn't heard them, though anyone who has worked around him knows he was well aware. If this partisan ageist attack feels remarkably familiar, that's because it is. Conservatives just spent the past 4 years mocking Joe Biden. Do you see how they twist this? So you have Tim Walz celebrating, in a way, this quote-unquote news that Trump was either on his deathbed or had already passed. And so the media, not acknowledging the wrong in any of this, says it's just reminiscent of conservatives during Biden, and it's ageism. It is amazing. This isn't just hypocrisy, though it certainly is that. It's a byproduct of the age of our politicians, that kind of thing. So calling it ageist and partisan. Jen Psaki asks why Trump spent a week hiding. Remember, Psaki worked in the Biden administration. A Biden that we were not allowed to see. That's the difference here. We were not allowed to talk about his health. The media covered it up. If you brought it up, you were a conspiracy theorist. So this idea that, according to Colby Hall, we were all running around talking about his health, no one in the media was doing it. Maybe on social media, but not to the extent it should have been. Psaki said let me tell you what Psaki said when we get back, because I heard the recording whistle and I don't want to run too late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. Wrong one. There we go. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. Yes, Frank. That was a great makeup job with the fake blood. Oh, yeah, and the photos with the bullets actually being captured on camera. Trump haters need to get a life. Well, Jen Psaki, on her broadcast on Tuesday, lamented that we may never know why Trump suddenly spent a week hiding from the public. Can you imagine Jen Psaki, who covered for Biden, even after the fact, saying, I never saw that man that we saw on the debate stage, questioning if it was a health reason. She then went on to question, was it because of Jeffrey Epstein? Was it because he has bad polling number? This is a man who, I don't know if there's ever been a more transparent president. I mean, the last cabinet meeting he gave, he talked for, 3 hours and 16 minutes to the media and to his cabinet, all broadcast for the world to see. It's not the amount of time he spends being transparent and talking to the media, talking with whoever, is remarkable. So the man during Labor Day takes 3 days off, and they have the audacity to question his health and even suggest that perhaps he had passed after what we saw for the last 4 years. Many criticizing Psaki. Tom Bevan said Psaki was right about one thing: you can't make this stuff up. It's called hypocrisy at its finest. It's just incredible that Jen Psaki is trying this. Astonishing, even. No self-awareness with these people. But it all ties in, and this is why I brought this up from the beginning. Miranda Devine said over the Labor Day weekend, instead of enjoying the last days of summer with family and friends, Democrats and other Trump-deranged folk had nothing better to do than indulge in sick fantasies about the president's health. We've talked about the hashtags. I don't even like reading them on the air. This was not a harmless meme or politics as usual. It was seeded by anonymous left-wing social media accounts and amplified by journalists and influencers to create a permission structure to fantasize about Trump's demise. Despite photos of Trump golfing with his grandchildren and his numerous long missives on Truth Social, including about the landscaper who ruined the new limestone paving in the Rose Garden, the rumor went viral. PolitiFact traced the rumor's origin to a tweet from an anti-Trump foreign policy reporter named Laura Rosen from AI Monitor, who shared a screenshot of the White House presidential schedule, and a fake innocent noted that Trump hadn't been seen in 2 whole days. Her post was viewed 34 million times, and of course that's when the copycats began. And we heard his response. Trump made light of the rumor. He said he had a very active weekend, saying that, hey, Joe Biden was gone for months at a time and no one questioned it. Biden was AWOL almost his entire presidency, and on the few occasions he was encountered by the press, he whispered, yelled, fell over, or shuffled. Yet all the same people who turned a blind eye to Biden's infirmities and routinely castigated the rest of us that he's sharp as a tack and stopped being ageist and that they're cheap fakes are now questioning Trump's health. In a 2,000-word piece written by 3 reporters Tuesday, the New York Times revisited the bruises on Trump's hands that they keep pretending are sinister, but just come from handshaking with large numbers of people, something Biden was never at a risk of doing. But and at 79, the president is so active and so busy and golfing and all those things. It's just, it's sad. That's why the entire Democratic Party apparatus is keyed in to the elimination of Trump. He has shown them up badly, and they have no answers to his victories, whether on illegal migration, big city crime, cutting taxes, ending wars, boosting the economy. The list goes on and on and on. They can't seem to counter him or change course, and have no leader other than Gavin Newsom, who has to try to imitate Trump to get attention. So they retreated into the delusion that if only Trump were gone, all their problems would vanish. Their constant framing of Trump as Hitler, an authoritarian fascist, and an existential threat who must be stopped at all costs fosters a climate in which death threats against the president are normalized. This week, Washington, D.C. grand juries let off 2 crazy people charged with repeatedly threatening to assassinate the president. One was a New York woman, and I mentioned these earlier in the week. I don't want to go through each of those. You had James Comey with his tweet about 8647. Of course, he pretended he had no idea what that meant. You had Walls laughing about this, saying it was imminent. I'm not even going to try the word now. It was imminent in his demise, which is borderline threatening. But this is as Miranda Devine says, a collapsing political party is as dangerous as an animal in its death throes. And that's why I brought that all up. We're going to move on from that topic. I see a lot of comments coming in. If you missed it, Chelsea Clinton thinking about running for Jerry Nadler's seat. Let me know what you think. Last break In this hour, then we have a couple big announcements. So stay with us. We'll be right back. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments to wrap up hour number one. In the next hour, we got a lot coming up. At the top of the hour, we got big announcements. One in regards to the upcoming, it's an annual ceremony for September 11th in Irwin. We've got a big announcement on that coming up at the top of the hour. Also, I'm going to give you an update on Dwayne Eddy and the tribute to Dwayne Eddy that people have been asking me about. We've got a big update on that. A couple other things, too. We've got a lot of topics, and we'll be hearing from Notre Dame High School about their upcoming festival on Saturday. All right, some comments, and I see others come in. We'll start off the next hour with those, too. Jen Psaki is hilarious. She said it with a straight face, too. Joy Reid as well. When these guys start talking, get out the popcorn, that's for sure. You know you're going to have some type of, kind of like a Jasmine Crockett. You're going to get some type of soundbite. Another comment from a different viewer. Joy Reid is an imbecile. That said, wasn't she silent when the former occupant of the White House took numerous falls and stumbles, not to mention ghost handshakes with phantom people and the inaudible mumbles, you know, the ones we saw with our lying eyes, and yet complete silence from her and others? I would even say not even complete silence. They would criticize you and mock you and call you conspiracy theorists, and it even gets worse and ageist if you did bring it up, if it was talked about. And to your point, the reason Biden didn't have the bruise on his hands, it was because he was doing the handshakes with phantom people. So it didn't have the same type of bruising potential. That's a very good point. Wow, there is... Oh, okay. Well, I got some comments coming in. We'll read them in the next hour. Okay. We as Americans are so ignorant to buy into this stuff. It's just to distract from what is getting done. You don't hear how crime is down in Washington. We get that. We get what we deserve. Well, I think I understand what you're saying, that some of this is a distraction. I don't think in this instance, I don't think it can be taken lightly. And I may be misreading your comment. I don't think we can take lightly this level of hatred that has now grown, because that's not healthy, that hatred. And it leads to very scary things, like the one viewer or the one person who commented said they haven't learned their lesson from Butler, Pennsylvania with assassination attempts. So if you keep pushing this hate, all it takes is some deranged person, God forbid. All right, comment from a different viewer. So did Joe spend the weekend on the beach, sleeping in a chair, eating ice cream? Probably. And finally, to wrap up this hour, and we'll get to the rest of your comments in the next hour, we're having a great show this morning. Am I wrong about that? I think it was the Chelsea Clinton thing. Everybody's excited that she's going to run for Nadler's seat. On that note, good morning, writes this viewer. My wife says she hopes you have a watch as a backup in case the courting whistle is down or your show will be all off schedule. The show is normally all off schedule. That's what the courting, I do have a watch. But the courting whistle is a helpful reminder that that's a break I need to take, and I really got to start speeding things up, because that means the hour is almost through and we still have tons of things to get to. That's what's normally going on in my mind. So big announcements when we come back. Also, not wrapping up, but reading your viewer comments that I didn't get in that segment because we are out of time. No whistle to remind me, but I know I can feel it in my heart that we're already running late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. It's hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I am your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Thank you so much for joining us. We're having a blast this morning. If you're just tuning in, you've missed a lot, but I'm glad that you'll catch the last hour. I said I had a big announcement. I'm pleased and proud to make this announcement at the beginning of the program, or the beginning of the second hour. The Tri-County First Responder Park in Gang Mills is pleased to announce that we will be holding our annual ceremony next Thursday, September 11th at 11 a.m. They have chosen as the 2025 First Responder of the Year, Chief Glenn Vogel from the Campbell Fire Department. Congratulations to Mr. Vogel. Chief Vogel has served in the Campbell Fire Department for over 30 years and has also been very active in the Tri-County area, serving as an EMS instructor, teaching many of today's EMS personnel. Representatives from state, county, and local government will be on hand to speak, as well as the Steuben County Sheriff's Color Guard. They will take place they will take part in the ceremony. So congratulations to First Responder of the Year, Chief Glenn Vogel from the Campbell Fire Department. And again, the annual ceremony held in Tri-County First Responder Park in Gang Mills will be held next Thursday at 11 a.m. So thank you for sending that in. I appreciate that we can break that news on Frankly Speaking. We've got a couple other announcements we're going to get to. Let me do this. I'm going to read your comments, and then I've got something I want to show you about Dwayne Eddy, and then we'll move along, because at 7:10, we're going to hear, right around there, we're going to hear from Notre Dame. So let's go to some viewer comments. I can't wait to find out how many high-level Democrats are on the Epstein list. I know they released a lot of information. I haven't been following it as closely for no other reason, just that I think people are going through the trove. It sounds like a lot of it's been released in the past. Try to keep up on it, but there's been so much. So I haven't heard any names or anything like that. Mark writes in a Democrat's eyes, what is Trump going to do next? Oh no, he took off 3 days. He must be dead. Give me a break today. Ridiculous. And they need to have a bill stating that judges can't override the president. It's going to be interesting, some of these court cases, because they seem to always get overturned into the president's favor when it goes to the Supreme Court. But it's that process, right? This viewer writes in, good morning. You were just reading a quote from somebody, and I apologize. I didn't catch who it was. But they noted people were jealous of Trump because of all the things he has done. Before I continue with your statement, I believe that was Miranda Devine from the New York Post. Just I want to clarify that. And they mentioned ending wars. What wars has Trump actually ended? As far as I can tell, the situation with Israel and Gaza and the situation in Ukraine has only escalated and deteriorated. People can't just say Trump has ended wars when it's not actually true. So as you know, the Nobel Peace Prize is apparently a dream of Trump's, or for some people to see that Trump gets that. My theory is he never will, because that's a far left organization. But having said that, the reason I give you that little bit of background, they released a statement, I think just yesterday, because I guess the Nobel Peace Prize is announced within the next month or so. So I don't know if this is kind of like when a movie comes out at a certain date, hoping that they can get that Oscar, or they release some ad in the local trade pushing to get those votes. So it's something like that. Maybe they're campaigning for it, if you will. But the list that the White House provided are 7 conflicts the president is referencing: Israel and Iran, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Armenia, oh my goodness, and Azerbaijan, Thailand and Cambodia, India and Pakistan, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Serbia and Kosovo. So that's the list that the White House has provided. So Trump had said in some type of statement that it was 6 or 7 wars that he ended. When asked to, kind of back that up, the White House provided that list of 7. I will say there's still more work, obviously, to be done on Ukraine. There's a really interesting piece. I don't think we'll have a chance to get to it this morning, saying that even with all this bluster coming from China and Russia and North Korea, we can't keep our eye on helping Ukraine. That is something we haven't had a chance to talk about this morning, and I wish we did. I hope we'll get to, because I want to still talk about the Washington, D.C. crackdown, because to your point, they do not, not your point, to somebody else's point on the program earlier on, there's not enough focus on crime plummeting. There's also so many New York State updates. Chelsea Clinton eyeing Jerry Nadler's seat as he is not running for re-election. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to start picking and choosing. But I hope that clears that up for you, viewer. This person says, I nominate Walls for the Peace Prize. Yeah, he obviously is interested in peace. My goodness. Despicable what he said. Okay. The National Guard has ordered the order extended through the remainder of 2025 as the crackdown leads to crime decrease. We know quite a significant decrease in crime. The District of Columbia National Guard, who are deployed as part of President Trump's federal law enforcement intervention in the nation's capital, have had their orders extended through December. A National Guard official said, two of my favorite walkers walking by. I got to get my two waves in. The main purpose of the extension is to ensure that any D.C. Guard members out on the streets of Washington will continue to have uninterrupted benefits and pay for a mission that seems likely to persist for months. The official, who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to talk to the media, said that while the extension doesn't mean that all 950 D.C. Guard troops now deployed will serve until the end of December, it is a strong indication that their role is not winding down anytime soon. Now, an ex-Chicago, because now there's talk about Chicago, and J.D. Pritzker, of course, not happy with that, outraged with that. We're going to tell you about Chicago in just a second, but I had to mention Adam Schiff. He was on CNN, of course. He responded to a question on whether the drop in crime in Washington, D.C., that is substantial and substantiated, since the federal surge compared to the same time last year, should be celebrated, because many of these Democrats are painting themselves into a corner where they end up looking as if they're celebrating crime in a way that they can't say, well, this is actually a good thing. I will say to Mayor Bowser, I'm going to tongue tie this morning. I'm having such a good time. Muriel Bowser, that she is saying that it's working and that she's not opposed to it. I mean, yes, she takes a dig every once in a while, but, overall. But there's people like Adam Schiff who can't celebrate the fact that crime has plummeted in Washington, D.C. The question was asked. So when you look at the numbers there, though, this is according to Washington, D.C. official database last week. I know you're familiar with these numbers, but here they are. A 44% decrease in violent crime in the 3 weeks since the federal surge, compared to the same period a year ago. That includes a 44% drop in homicides compared to the same time last year. So if that is the outcome of what he's doing, is that something to actually celebrate? That's actually a fair question. Schiff responded, well, I don't think I can analyze what D.C.'s crime numbers were, but I can say this about Los Angeles and the deployment of troops there. First of all, it was completely unnecessary. We didn't need the National Guard. Thousands of National Guard troops activated for this purpose, something that frankly takes them away from doing work, fighting fires, doing the work that our military is called upon to do as a military force, not a civilian force. To deploy Marines to Los Angeles for that purpose was also another waste of military resources. And what's more, it squanders the goodwill of the National Guard. In California, we love the National Guard. We value them for their heroic efforts during times of natural disaster. But this really polarizes the public with respect to the Guard. And for the Guard itself, we have seen a collapse of morale as Guard troops say, I didn't sign up with ICE. I signed up to serve my country as a member of the military. So I can't speak to D.C., but I can speak to California. And this was a terrible abuse and a lawless abuse of the military. So what Adam Schiff said there, and I know I spent too long talking about that, is no, he can't celebrate the decrease in crime in Washington, D.C. He doesn't have the time to do that because he has to politicize and criticize Trump and Los Angeles. It just shows you a little inside look at what is being dealt with. We've got a couple other things on this, but coming up next, we do have our interview with Notre Dame. Before I go to Notre Dame, let me do this. I'm really excited about this. So people have asked me time and time again, what are we doing to honor Dwayne Eddy? If you recall on this program when we first went on the air, I want to say it was maybe even the first week, but it was definitely the first month. We had a great interview with Corning native and Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Dwayne Eddy. Then in April of the next year, Dwayne passed away. And honor of a lifetime that I got to know him and got to interview him so many times. And me and a group have been working on this for a long time, but there's been so many of us, many viewers, many people listen to the radio show. I've always said, why isn't more done to honor Dwayne Eddy and let people know, if nothing else, to pass along the knowledge that a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer was born in Corning, New York, in a place I could walk to from here. Why is not more being done? We finally have a project. We finally have a group that has been able to put the work into it, the time into it, and we're really excited. And I want to show you exactly what we are talking about. Let me make sure I got the right run. There we go. The Dwayne Eddy Historical Marker Dedication Ceremony is coming up on Saturday, September 20th. Now, that is during Harvest Fest. So what a perfect opportunity to see the unveiling and have a great day in Corning. Saturday, September 20th, 2 p.m. at Centerway behind the clock tower. Now, if you see the website there, corningtwain.com, it's not too late to donate to the marker. It is not completely funded. It is up and going, but it's not that and the other projects that we have in the works in the future for Dwayne. So if you would like to donate and get your name in the program, we're going to have a commemorative program with, and I don't want to give too much away, but with some amazing, amazing quotes from legends of the business, congratulating the Eddy family, who many are going to be here for the event, for the unveiling. I couldn't tell you how proud I am of this and how excited I am of this. So mark that in your calendar. But also I would ask if you want your name involved, because I know there's been so many people throughout the years that have spoken so highly about Dwayne, or have, like me, been kind of startled that there hasn't been this kind of recognition. What's finally coming after many years. I was proud that we had a day to recognize him back when Mayor Rich Negri was in office and Dwayne visited, so it was Dwayne Eddy Day many years ago. And then after, we don't have to relitigate, but it took a little while. Well, it took 2 years, I think, and we got Dwayne Eddy in the Steuben County Hall of Fame. But now something in the heart of Corning to pay tribute and to honor the man. And I want to just say, he became a huge star, but if you look at his promotions and the work he had done, it always said born in Corning, New York. And as a matter of fact, one of the first little publicity things done on him when he was making it big, a writer had put Dwayne Eddy born in. People of Corning may not know this, but Dwayne Eddy was born there. So now finally getting some recognition, and hopefully more in the future. But if you do want to be in that program listing as a supporter, because I know there are so many supporters, please go to corningtwang.com and find out more. If you see me on the street, stop and I can tell you more about it. But corningtwang.com, corningtwang.com, and twang, Twang. So thank you for giving me a moment, humoring me, so I could take some time out to tell you about that. And it's going to be a special event. You're not going to want to miss the event, and you're not going to want to miss being a part of it. All right, we've got to take a break. When we come back, our friends from Notre Dame High School, then I'll read your comments. I know there's a lot of people. I'm not joking when I mention that Chelsea Clinton is seriously thinking about running for Jerry Nadler's seat, and that grandson of JFK, which is interesting because he's definitely got some baggage with some of the social media posts he's had. Not that Chelsea Clinton doesn't have baggage, but I'm just saying that's going to be an interesting race. If every name that's being thrown around does jump in, it's going to be a heck of a race. So your thoughts on that? Oh, the rumor that the White House is maybe trying to give Eric Adams a job so he'll drop out of the race. That's interesting because I can't see Trump supporting Cuomo, but maybe he does over the socialist. I don't know, a lot of moving pieces there. We'll get to that. I know I'm rambling on. I'm just so excited to talk to Notre Dame. I'm so excited about the Dwayne Eddy event. I'm so excited to be here with you. So stay with us, Notre Dame, when we return. It's our beautiful view of historic Market Street in the heart of the Gaffer District, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Hakem. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio this morning, we're going to be talking about legends and legacies. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so tell us about this upcoming event. It's hard to believe. I think it was at the beginning of the summer where I learned that you are going into 70 years at Notre Dame High School. So this is a celebration, right?
Oh, it is definitely a celebration. And we decided that, we started having meetings back in January, and we decided we needed a kickoff, something that was going to kick off the 70th year. And what a great way to do it is with a festival and a concert, and then ending the evening with fireworks, which is going to be awesome. Yeah. Because Notre Dame, in the past 70 years, I don't know the exact dates, but I know it was sometime in the early 80s, they had a festival at Notre Dame. Oh, okay. And so we thought, well, why not kick it off with a festival? Yeah. So our festival will be from noon until 6, and we can get into further details, but noon to 6, and then we will have the concert. The doors open up at 7. The 7 Wonders start at 8 o'clock, and they'll end at 9:30, and then the fireworks will.
So,
boom.
as school starts, you decide to also have a gigantic festival that same week, just to make life easy.
We might not have thought that one through so good. But it really coincides with the opening of the school, and 75 years ago, there was a mass celebrated on this weekend.
Okay.
So it started off because we do have the bishop coming to celebrate mass on Sunday, and we just kind of backed into Saturday as the festival. But timing is definitely, there's a lot going on the first week of school, that's for sure.
How would you say the planning's been going overall? Because there are so many events surrounding this, whether it's inflatables, vendors, all the food and the concert. How's the planning been going? Very busy?
Oh, well, you're talking to the right person.
Yeah.
It's been very, very busy and challenging at times. It's free admission to the community. We want the community to come. It's not just for Notre Dame families or alumni.
Sure.
Because we have students coming in from Ithaca and from the Valley. From Corning. So, but we want the community to come because we've been in the community for 70 years and in the town of Southport for 70 years. So admission is free. For the kids, we have the inflatables. We have two. One is one for little kids, and then we have one that's a bouncy house and a slide, pretty big.
Okay.
And then it's also an inflatable carnival, and the kids can go play. And if I don't know exactly what's in there, but if they do what they're supposed to do, they actually get like a little stuffed animal they get a little tchotchke. And then we have a petting zoo that will be free to the kids. That's always important for the little kids and the animals.
Everybody
right?
likes a petting zoo.
Right. But then we have something even bigger. We have a vendor coming that will be doing pony rides.
Okay.
And there will be a fee to that. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's going to be, massive. And then also, which I'm challenging him, I think he needs to go for a horse ride.
I would think so.
I don't think so.
They'll have horses there, so adults can take a ride on a horse
Really?
too. And they'll have a fairly large area. But then we have entertainment. Mm-hmm. We've got from noon to 2, we have a DJ Ricky will be there. And then from 2 to 3, we have our spotlighters that will do a little performance. And these guys are amazing. They just won a big award in New Jersey.
Yes.
Nationals. I mean, the talent is amazing.
And one of our students, Sabrina O'Connor, won the overall best performer, and that is on a national basis. That's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. And then from 3 to 6, we have the Three Stones Fire. I always say it wrong, but Three Stones Fire, which is an Irish/Scottish music. Dave heard them on Cuca Lake for the wine festival there, and he said they were amazing.
Yeah,
So we have them, and then you're going to see all these people, all of us running around, breaking down stuff and trying to get it over to the concert area.
Right.
And that starts at 7. But, I mean, we got Ben and Jerry's. We got Sipley. Oh, I knew I was going to forget that name. Oh, my gosh. And we'll get back to that. Yeah. We've got Mason Minis coming, which is the little pancake dessert people. I mean, those two.
We have bingo.
I was going to say, I wonder why no one brought up bingo yet.
Thank you. Oh, my gosh.
From 1 to 2:30. Yeah. I thought, am I missing something?
Notre Dame for how many years? Probably 50 out of the 70 they've had bingo.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have bingo that will be from 1 to 2:30. But we just got a lot. We got the old-fashioned red popcorn cart or truck that's going to be there, and we've got other vendors. It's going to be pretty exciting, I think.
We're looking forward to it.
And so with the festival itself, I know you need tickets for the Seven Wonders. Do you need tickets for the festival?
No.
Or just walk in and just attend?
It's free admission into the festival.
Okay.
Spending what you want. I mean, we've got a jewelry vendor that's going to be there. We've got Putnam Amusements that will be doing funnel cakes and snow cones and all kinds of stuff. And then our students and parents and staff, they're making, and I'll let Dave get into this, but they're going to be doing hamburgers, hot dogs, sausage, peppers, onions, salt potatoes. We're going to have pizza. And
it's not a fundraiser for us.
Okay.
So our food prices are really bare minimum. We just want to really cover our costs if we can. But we really want to just say thank you to the community. When you're in the community for 70 years, you can't go very far without somebody knowing somebody who had something to do with Notre Dame High School.
Right.
And so therefore, we're just opening our arms and saying thank you for all you've done. Please come over and visit with us and hopefully have a good time.
And we do have beer.
I noticed. I know. I didn't know if I was supposed to bring it up. It is family fun, but there's a beer
Yeah, it's
tent.
family fun, but yes, we'll have a beer trailer there, and also from 3 o'clock right through the end of the concert, we're going to have Vino Valet, which this is amazing. This couple out of Canandaigua took a 1962 camper and gutted it out, and it's a traveling wine camper.
Okay.
And she carries all New York State wines. She has a couple ciders, and then she's going to have a couple specialty drinks too. So, and she'll be there from, like I said, 3 o'clock until the concert's over. And it's going to be fun.
Well, what I think is interesting about this too, it begins at noon, but it would very easy to spend the whole time there. Sometimes a festival you walk in, or even like a fair, and you get your fill after half an hour, but you have so much going on, you could easily spend the whole day there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm hoping there's going to be enough entertainment and fun for people. And, for those out there that want to come and listen to the entertainment from noon until 6, bring your chair, bring your own chair. If you don't have one, stop one of us. We'll be wearing bright T-shirts, We'll grab you a chair so you can sit down and enjoy the entertainment. You don't have to do the bouncy houses or the horse riding or anything like that. And then for the concert, bring your own chair, or we're going to rent chairs for $5.
Okay.
And tickets for the concert are available all day that day. We'll have a ticket area that they can. We won't give them the tickets. We'll give them the wristbands so they can just go through the line at night. So that might be easier for people. But I think the weather's going to be nice. I think it's going to be a good time.
I think it's going to be a great time, and you have just so much. And there's got to be something for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. If you can't have fun at this, you have no excuse.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? So what are you guys looking forward to the most? What is your favorite part going to be? Do you think?
I'm looking forward to Monday. No, I'm just joking. I'm looking forward to all of it because, again, I have a history of doing events and stuff, and I went to Notre Dame as well, and so did Dave. He graduated from there. I shamefully did not, but my daughter went there. It's just nice to see that we're bringing back something that happened within the 70 years,
Yeah.
And the most exciting thing to me is we have just a little bit of everything. So you've got something for the elderly, the entertainment, and nothing's better because I'm elderly now. There, you can sit there and watch kids run around and have fun, and see the parents have fun, and then just the food and keeping it at a low cost. I mean, could you imagine being a family of 4 and going to McDonald's?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Sorry, McDonald's, but come on over and see us, right, and enjoy. And then just the concert to me is really exciting.
Yeah.
Because that's my history too, with being at the casino and doing the concerts, but. I've been singing for 2 years. This is my semi-retirement job, but I've been singing for 2 years. Let's do a concert. We got to do a concert. And so I'm really excited to see how it turns out. And I don't know. I just think it's.
I think what's really neat too is the lead singer, who is the Stevie Nicks character. She's the, I believe, marketing director at our sister school, Our Lady of Mercy up in Rochester.
Rochester.
That's a small
So
world.
it's, and that's kind of how this came about.
Yeah.
They had, I think they did at Nazareth College's graduation, they did a show, and then somehow it trickled down to Lynn. And
Yeah, and I
So we're
called.
incredibly excited about that.
I called the school to find out how I could reach out to find out how to get them. And she said, oh, hang on a second. Next thing you know, the woman answers the phone and she works at the school. And I said, I didn't even know
That's
that.
perfect. Yeah.
So it's a small world. It's a great connection. So.
But you touched on something I think is really important, because you have been a part of the community, an important part of the community for 70 years. What a great way to celebrate by essentially giving back to the community.
And that's the intent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the intent.
So do you think this is kind of I hate to put it this way, but the end of summer party?
Or beginning a fall party.
Okay, that's very, very optimistic. That's very nice of you.
Those words cannot come out of my mouth right now.
No,
but,
not already, right?
yeah.
Are there going to be other celebrations for the 70th?
So we're not doing anything additional to what we normally do.
Okay.
We have a Macaulay dinner, we have a 5K run, race, and then we have some spring events. But we're branding everything around our 70th. And we just feel it's really important to celebrate those 70 years. The festival's really the only addition to what our normal schedule is. And like I mentioned, it's not a fundraiser. It's just more of a thank you to the community. So.
A community get together, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the one thing, we do want to put a little twist to it if it's possible. So October 14th, we have the Macaulay Award dinner. and we have that at the Elmira Country Club. And Sister Macaulay was from Dublin, Ireland, who started the Sisters of Mercy. Of course, she passed away many, many years ago, but she started it in Ireland, but then brought it over to the States. And how many Sisters of Mercy schools are there now?
I don't
putting
know
you on the
how many.
spot.
I'm supposed to put people on the spot.
I'm sorry, I just
I know
didn't
there's over 100 nationally, but I'm not sure. I think it's a little north of that.
So this year, we pick a community recipient, and then we pick a school recipient. And so this year, for the community, we have Mary Ellen and Denny Cuzio. And Denny recently has passed, but they're still together. They're getting the award. And then Dr. Deb Frito, who works at Notre Dame, who is amazing for Notre Dame. She's the school recipient. So we're hoping that we get some of our alumni in from the past years.
Of course.
I know they won't go as far back as 70 years, but we can, some
Maybe,
of them, right?
yeah.
There are still a few, sorry. And then in November, on Thanksgiving morning, we have our Bob Egan Memorial 5K Turkey Trot, which is his dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's in memory of his dad. And last year we were really successful.
Had a great year.
Those are popular. 5Ks are so popular.
They are popular, and they love it.
I
And
know.
we get a ton of people, and it's Thanksgiving morning,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But we're hoping to get, I can't mention her name, but we're hoping to get maybe a past alum who's very, very well known to come and maybe lead the race.
Okay.
Or maybe have a reception the night before.
We'll stay tuned for that.
Okay. Yeah, we will definitely let you know.
Let me know.
So, we're trying to pull in some of our alumni because we have alums that, not just a handful that have made it big in the world, but
course.
many. So come on back and
We're
visit
proud of
us in
that,
our
so.
70th
On the
year.
70th. Final question before we go. How does, as we kick off and the bell is about to ring for the new school year, how does Notre Dame look this year?
We're doing really well.
Good.
We have a partnership with Stemmerman Sports and the Junior Aviators, which brought about 25 to 28 new hockey players, students, athletes to the school.
Oh, great.
And that's a great partnership. Enrollment is up. We're doing well. A good portion of that is with the Junior Aviators and Stemmerman Sports, but otherwise doing very well. We did a lot of capital improvement projects over the summertime, so school's looking great. I think we're all excited, and I think the future's pretty bright for us.
Well, great. And come out and celebrate 70 years of Notre Dame High School. We're going to put up the poster at the end of the interview so people can scan the code, but you can just show up and buy tickets at the door,
Absolutely.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if they have to. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for giving us so much time this morning.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Frank.
Like, have fun on Saturday. Don't just work the whole
Well,
time.
if you're bored, come on down and
Yeah,
visit us.
absolutely. I will. Well, thanks for being on the show. We'll be
you.
right back with Frankly Speaking after this. Stay with us. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Thank you so much to Dave and Lynn for being on the program to tell us all about Notre Dame's 70th year celebration, kicking off, well, I think school actually kicks off today, but the festival is on Saturday. So that's all the information, and you can scan that QR code right now. But at any time, you can get your tickets there. But the noon to 6, absolutely free. You see all the fun events. You heard all about it in the last segment. So thank you to them for bringing us all that information. We do appreciate it. We appreciate our community leaders at Notre Dame High School. Okay, let's go to some viewer comments. I think I got them all. I think I missed a couple. Sorry if I did. We've been jam-packed with, and that's a good thing, with comments this morning. Okay. This viewer writes, one of my crazy Facebook friends posted about another No King's Day protest on October 18th, and will most likely gather in Corning. Yes, I think for most of the No King's Day protests or any of those type of protests, it's kind of been switching back and forth to Corning, but Corning seems to be the hub. They should call it No King's Day again. Yes, I think there's so many. I will say at the beginning of the summer, and especially spring, they were frequent, the protests, sometimes 2-3 a week. I remember around Easter, I want to say it was at least twice a week, and that was by Wednesday. So yes, very unwieldy if you have a life outside of protesting. Prepare to be transformed, this viewer says. I'm sure that they've fine-tuned their message. Yes, maybe you could pass out some of your Frankly Speaking business cards. I think I think I'm busy on the 18th. I appreciate that, though. Appreciate the sentiment. But yes, it is. It's not as frequent as it was, but they get some good crowds. Okay. Comment from a different viewer. On the flip side, I didn't hear social workers and counselors say they signed up to be police officers and domestic violence officers either. That's a very great point. The argument being that there was the National Guard didn't sign up, according to Adam Schiff, for that job in L.A. or to be with ICE or whatever the case may be. I think that's interesting because I don't remember that argument being made, for instance, when Governor Hochul sent them in to be corrections officers. Yes, people that disagreed with it said it, but I don't think Hochul said that, or to be subway patrol men and women. So to your point, when people like Mamadani and others have called for social workers instead of police, I don't think social workers signed up for that. And the few social workers I've known in my life, I'm sure would not have signed up for that, for being a police officer or domestic violence officer. So great point. Very salient point. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. If someone runs against Chelsea, will they also have an unfortunate accident? LOL. I don't know. This is going to be very interesting. Chelsea Clinton versus Kennedy. Again, this is all speculation. All right. Comment from a different viewer. The latest Democrat to challenge Elise Stefanik, which I think there's quite a few, isn't there? I don't have the exact number there, which I could tell already. We want to go to New York State issues, so we're going to get to that. Dylan Hewitt is his name. He made a point of saying he's wearing his high school dance shoes during his announcement speech. I have to be honest, I watched the speech, and Dylan doesn't look like he has any good dance moves or gives anybody a reason to dance. I do not know all the candidates running against Elise Stefanik, but why don't we get to New York State issues? Just a couple other comments. Let's see. Frank, this is a nice comment. Frank, when I watched Dwayne Eddy's interview with you, yeah, he kicked off. He gave us interviews that first week live from Nashville. I could tell how genuinely pleased he seemed with you and your efforts to initiate this legacy, and you should take the credit you deserve, well, in giving that to him. Thank you. I look forward to being there on the 20th. Oh, great. Wonderful. Yes, Steuben County Hall of Fame. I overnighted the plaque. They were always, Dwayne, always very proud of being from Corning, and was very happy to be recognized. So thank you for that. That's very nice. That made my day, that statement. Okay. I do have some international issues, but I cannot miss today's program without getting to New York, because there is some fun happening in New York. First of all, I happened to run into the Assemblyman, Phil Palmisano, and he is on a road trip. They are going around the state to talk about, they're calling it the Energy Tour. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, and ranking minority member on the Energy Committee, kicked off his statewide. So Phil Palmisano, I worded that strange. He's an assemblyman and the ranking minority member on the Energy Committee. That's why he's so passionate and helps us out so much on this program, trying to explain the disastrous energy policies coming out of Albany because of the one-party rule. They kicked off their statewide energy tour yesterday in Buffalo, where he was joined by many of his Assembly and Senate colleagues. This is first of several stops across the state. They're even going into New York City. I think this morning they're in Rochester. They will hold Governor Kathy Hochul, along with legislative Democrats, accountable for the disastrous and costly energy policies that are raising utility rates and will continue to do so. The policies will eliminate consumer energy choice on their march to full electrification of the grid and have no consideration for energy affordability, reliability, or feasibility. This is what the Assemblyman had to say. And then those joining him yesterday, and this is kind of, think of it as a festival tour. Some of the players change depending on which area he visits. But Will Barclay, Assembly Minority Leader Will Barclay, joined him yesterday. Assemblyman Steve Hawley, Assemblyman Patrick, I'm going to try here, Schladzinski, Assemblyman Andrew Molitor, Assemblyman Paul Bolgna, Assemblyman David DiParita, Assemblyman Angelo Moreno, and then Joe Semplinsky was there too, so we'll read his quote. But first, we'll lead with who kicked this all off, his statewide energy tour. We'll try to keep you as updated on this as possible because they're trying to hit a lot of areas to spread the word on these failed policies that are costing us so much as New Yorkers. The Assemblyman said, "For years, my colleagues and I have warned that the radical energy climate agenda being pushed by Albany Democrats would make life more expensive for New Yorkers, and now it is finally happening. Under the not-so-watchful eye of Governor Hochul, we have seen energy affordability, reliability, feasibility, and consumer energy choice take a back seat to please the radical Green New Deal advocates. Our Democrat colleagues told us that we were simply fear-mongering. But the fact of the matter is we were right all along. The average New Yorker will now continue to pay more per month while sacrificing energy choice, reliability, and risking overwhelming the grid. And the worst part about this, it does nothing to save the environment. New York contributes just 0.4% of global emissions worldwide, while China contributes 30% and has 1,000 coal plants and is building more every week. In fact, even if we achieved 0% emissions, the effect on the environment would be minuscule. Instead of virtue signaling, Albany Democrats should admit they made a mistake and work to make our energy policy more affordable and reliable for New York families and businesses. The fact of the matter is, even though 60% of New Yorkers heat their homes with natural gas and 40% of our generation comes from natural gas, Governor Hochul and Albany Democrats' energy policies are simply designed to dismantle the affordable and reliable natural gas infrastructure, supply, and delivery system. It is designed to take away consumer choice on how you heat your home, cook your food, power your buildings, and the vehicles you drive. It will jeopardize the reliability of the grid, leading to dangerous and deadly blackouts, and will continue our nation-leading out-migration of more New York families, farmers, small businesses, and manufacturers leaving the state. So thank you to Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, not only for that message, but spreading it statewide in areas and locations that may not be hearing the truth on this. Starting yesterday in Buffalo, I believe this morning in Rochester, continuing throughout the month. Now, Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski, another friend of Frankly Speaking, also in our viewing area, he said, because he was at the conference yesterday, he said, Albany's top-down approach to energy is another example of government overreach that ignores the realities families face in Western New York. We're tired of Albany politicians pushing costly mandates that make life harder and more expensive while doing little to nothing to actually help the environment. As a member on the Environmental Conservation Committee, I know we can pursue cleaner energy in a way that is dependable and affordable. This plan is neither. I'm grateful to Assemblyman Palmisano for leading this effort to hold the majority accountable and to fight for a sensible energy future for our communities across New York. So kudos to everyone involved in this. This is necessary to spread the word, especially in areas that may not hear why our energy costs are so much, with many blaming their service provider, when many of those up fees are necessary because of the disastrous plans coming out of Albany. So we've been talking about it all morning. And thank you again to the Assemblyman. Chelsea Clinton is seriously considering a campaign to replace retiring Representative Jerry Nadler in the 12th Congressional District here in New York. Political inside rumors surrounding the former first daughter's interest in the race turned into a firestorm on social media. One New York political insider saying she's probably got a shot if she wants it. And that's been the argument all along, because people thought she'd get involved even earlier on than this. Some speculated Senate, but that's difficult. But though if she gets into Congress, and then we see Chuck Schumer, not very popular, people calling for his ouster in his own party. If AOC doesn't run for that, it could be Chelsea, but maybe Chelsea could beat her. It's all very interesting. And that goes to show you, weirdly, the importance of name recognition. I know you would say that maybe there's a negative connotation there, but not in this instance, apparently, in a very liberal district, the 12th Congressional District. Now, some caution the rumors were fueled by wishful thinking from the Democratic establishment, living in fear of a Democrat socialist taking over a district that includes Manhattan's ultra-wealthy Upper West and Upper East Side. That's really an interesting scenario that the Democrats are in New York and elsewhere, that they want one of the kind of establishment, I know she hasn't been in politics, but obviously has the Clinton name, the establishment over the socialist, who would most likely in a primary win if you look at what happened in the mayor's race, right? Defeating easily establishment candidate Andrew Cuomo, which we heard the rumor is, and Mayor Adams completely denies it, but that the White House is trying to give him a job, I think it was with HUD, so that he would step away and perhaps open the door for just a Mamdani Cuomo race. I don't know if it was being done just for a Mamdani Silwa scenario, but it seems more that I think many are saying they don't like Cuomo, but he's still going to be better than Mamdani. I don't know. But Chelsea Clinton eyeing that, and also this Jack Slosberg, who was the grandson of John F. Kennedy. It's certainly a possibility that he might enter the race. Nothing's been confirmed, but he's got some baggage with him. The way he behaved on social media, especially in regards to his uncle, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, the reason why there are so many names being thrown around, this is a solid Democrat seat. One that once you get in, look at Jerry Nadler, you'll be in for a very long time. But that's what Politico highlights. A trend of acknowledging Democrats' age problem is emerging. The 78-year-old House of Representatives announced his plan to step down this week. It's a weird way of wording that. But Jerry Nadler announced his retirement. And how old is too old to run for office? And this debate, according to Politico, arose from Joe Biden and the debate performance. So they go on to talk about the getting younger blood. But I think to that point about Chelsea, people are concerned that the young blood that are getting involved, and that's who Nadler said he was handing it over to, fresh faces, a new generation, have trended even more extreme left, wanting to be the face of the resistance, wanting to prove their socialist bona fides like Mamadani. He does not hide that. That is something he is proud of. But it's not just calling for those of a certain age to step down. It's those that aren't fighting hard enough and leading that resistance charge. We're going to tell you that when we come back, and then we've got some things on Stefanik. Read your comments. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. A couple of viewer comments here. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Rick. My two-word description for Trump's policy is cryptocurrency. I think that's crypto, unless they're calling that like it's a ripoff or something. Cryptocurrency. I have to throw this in, Rick writes and continues. The Florida Surgeon General is an idiot. He seems to be locked up. He should be locked up, excuse me. Going to be a lot of sick people in Florida, a lot of extremely sick kids because of foolish parents making uninformed decisions. The government has to tell all the people to get vaccinations so that all the nitwits will get them. Maybe if they drink more orange juice, they'll be okay. That this is in reference to the vaccine mandates going away in Florida when it comes to being enrolled in school. They need to fire Kennedy too, says Rick. He's another nut with authority he doesn't or he shouldn't be allowed by law to have. Wow. Have a good one, y'all. Thank you, Rick. Comment from a completely different viewer. Phil's statement, and that was a statement on energy as they toured around the state to talk about the failed policies of one-party rule in Albany and Governor Hochul. Phil's statement that you just read on the energy policy of New York needs to be tattooed on every politician's arm and repeated to all New Yorkers. I will pass that along to Phil, and I agree. So just quickly, I mentioned it's not just an age issue, the Democrat Party having kind of it's not soul-searching on their policies, but it's looking at how they either go full socialist or they try to go moderate. Well, according to The Guardian, it's time for Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to step down. He said this fascist moment, this age of Trump, demands outspoken, unrelenting, and fearless opposition. We all deserve better. That's kind of been a mantra in different terms of the resistance movement. In a recent podcast conversation, the former spokesperson for Jeb Bush sat down with the leader of the House Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries. Guess which one of them endorsed the Democrat candidate for mayor of New York? I'd guess both of them. Being the former spokesperson of Jeb Bush, I'm not surprised. But time and again, Jeffries has refused to, but it turned out it was Jeb Bush's spokesperson, not Hakeem Jeffries. Jeffries has refused to endorse his own party's official candidate for mayor in his own city. 2 months after Zohran Mamdani won the Democrat mayoral primary in New York by double digits, including Jeffries' own congressional district by 8 points. Jeffrey is not alone in his brazen hypocrisy. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, who represents the state of New York and lives in the city of New York, has also refused the endorsement. If you want to understand why the Democrats are polling at their lowest point for more than 3 decades, look no further than these two uninspiring Democrat leaders in Congress. This is interesting because we brought this up yesterday that Hakeem Jeffries has overall pretty much avoided this kind of criticism. He got it for a little bit, but he hasn't been attacked with you're not doing enough as much as others. Of course, Chuck Schumer has, but not being enough of the resistance. I don't want to go through all this, but it just talks about how they need to fight more. They need to go, and you need new people like Mamdani. This is very interesting. In the past, it is past time for both Jeffries and Schumer to step down and step aside. This fascist moment, this age of Trump, demands outspoken, unrelenting, and fearless opposition, whether you are a Democrat or simply a Democrat. We all deserve better. One with a capital D, one lower. We all deserve better. There you go. So we've got some political infighting. Hey, when we come back, Elise Stefanik, and then this is our last segment, so get your comments in, and we are going to breeze through a lot of topics that we just did not have a chance to get to. So sit back, relax, still plenty of time to get all the news that you need before you start off your day. Stay with us. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Wrapping up today's edition, Elise Stefanik announced yesterday that she is donating $500,000 to support Republicans and committees in all 62 counties in New York. In her statement, she thanked her supporters for helping to fund her Save New York effort. Calling Governor Hochul the worst governor in America, she said the New York Republicans are working to win to save our state. She's also going to be campaigning in New York City, speaking there in support of Republicans, which you can find in the area, but also against Mamdani. But also a good idea that she's going around the state. Interesting, right? I mentioned Eric Adams and the White House are in talks over an administration job at the White House as pressures mount for him to drop out because it does not look good as of right now. Mamdani is the clear front runner. Could be just kind of a cushy gig at HUD. He denies that he will exit the race. Mamdani says the report of the White House, quote, meddling in New York City's mayoral race is an affront to our democracy. The White House is considering administration jobs for Adams and Curtis Sliwa, and he calls it an affront to our democracy. Everything's an affront to our democracy. My goodness. That makes that very easy. What isn't an affront to our democracy? But that means if they're looking at Sliwa too, and that's according to New York Times, so take it with a grain of salt, that means they are looking for the more moderate Democrat, which would be Cuomo. That's an interesting conversation we'll probably save for tomorrow because that probably concerns a lot of people, but the idea is either a socialist or it's Cuomo. It's kind of, you know what you get with one of them. That's not good, but it's also better than socialism. That would be the argument. Comment from a viewer, Frank, thanks so much for letting us know about the Notre Dame Festival. I will definitely be there and with a lot of my family. Also, thank you again. No, thank you. I'm glad. It's going to be a fun event. That gives me an excuse to put it up on the screen. The big festival kickoff all day. I know many people are going to be looking forward to the bingo from 1 to 2:30, but that's just a full day of fun, so I'm glad I could pass along that info for you. A great way to kick off the school year. All right, does that do it for us? Let's go through a couple quick things. I mentioned this earlier, but didn't get a chance to quote it. A former head of the Chicago Police Department, Jody Wise, called out the two top Democrats in Illinois, arguing they are afraid of being humiliated by Trump having a successful crime crackdown. After Trump caused shockwaves with his crackdown on D.C., Pritzker and Brandon, you've heard all the Brandon Johnson, you've heard all the rhetoric from them. So what the former police chief said, head of the Chicago Police Department, Jody Wise, is they're too afraid that Trump's crackdown would work. They don't want to see that success like it's been successful in Washington, D.C. This I just find to be a funny headline, and why not? Mark writes in that on October 4th, Elise Stefanik will be in Schuyler County. Have a great day, Frank. Thank you very much. Some people have sent me that, but the link was broken. If anybody could get me more information on that, just text it to this number on the bottom of the screen. I'd like to hear more what the event is, what exactly, is it a rally, is it a fundraiser? I'd love to hear more if anybody has that information. I had received a couple of people sent me the Facebook post, but for whatever reason, looked like it had been taken down, so I didn't have the information. All right, just to laugh at this headline. RFK Jr. aide, someone that was close, worked as his aide, Hannah Anderson, accidentally crashed into his vehicle after she was fired. If that was an accident, that is a very bad day for Miss Anderson. Kennedy's former deputy chief of staff was fired from her position on July 16th, just 6 months into the role. In a moment of hot-headed distress, Anderson accidentally backed up into Kennedy's car after learning she lost her job. Oof. That is a difficult day. On that note, thank you for all the great comments and all the waves. Thank you to Notre Dame for being on the program, representatives from Notre Dame, for their Celebrating Legends and Legacies Festival. We'll remind you tomorrow so you don't miss out. I think that does it for us. Have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking. I look forward to it already.